Welcome to the Transform Your Wealth and Health podcast, where experts in wealth, health, and fitness help transform your life. Here's your host, Andy Arter.
She's young, fit, and beautiful, but even more impressive, she's got an income of over £100,000 a year and a social media following of over 170,000. Today's guest is fitness expert Lauren Tickner. Lauren, how are we doing?
Hey, I'm so good, and I'm so excited to be on today because I feel like this podcast is meant for me because I'm all about building up your online business and also staying fit and healthy all at the same time, both physically and mentally. So yeah, I'm excited to have a chat. I think it's a really cool concept.
Oh, thank you for coming on the show, Lauren. Lauren, you're one step ahead of me because you're a little bit fitter than I am. Now, I'm at the other end of it all. I'm interested in fitness because I need to get fitter, you see. So I need some tips from you and some help as well. So,
of course.
Right, fine. Thank you for doing that. Is this free stuff, by the way? We're going to get some free tips. Oh, lovely.
Look, you're giving me all this free exposure. It's the least.
Okay, fair enough then. So, Lauren, give us a little bit of background. So before you got so successful on social media and got into the fitness, what was your background family-wise like, and how did you get into it?
Yeah, so it's funny that you asked that because I guess the fitness and the social media all kind of started in one go. And I truly believe if I was never overweight as a kid, I would never be doing what I am today. So that pretty much summarizes it. When I was younger and I was in school, I live in Surrey, which is in England. And I basically went to a school where, the boys were the mean to the girls. And I guess it's pretty much the same in all the schools, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
Probably go the other way as well. But anyway, so I was a little bit overweight. I wasn't massive or anything, but I was unhealthy, and I hated sport, and I just hated doing it. In my school, it was a very sporty school, so they forced us to do it, which is brilliant, I think. But at the time, I really didn't enjoy it. So I basically, just loved chocolate so much. Ended up eating a little bit too much. Yeah, well, exactly. I still do today, but obviously now I'm a little bit better at moderation.
Calm down a bit from chocolate. Okay.
Just a little bit. And I would just eat kind of the same foods every day, like pasta, garlic bread, and pizza, and all this stuff. And my mom was great. She would offer to cook me all these amazing foods, but I would say, nope, I just want to have my own thing and the same thing that I always had. So ended up getting a bit overweight. I got bullied for my weight at school when I was around the age of 14. The boys would call me Mackie D's because I had a shiny forehead because, when you're going through puberty and you're a bit oily, like I didn't have spots or anything. I was just shiny. It's just how my skin naturally is. And so, basically I got to the age of 16 and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting way too heavy. I would weigh myself on the scales and I was coming up to I think I was almost 11 stone, which for a girl who's 5'4" is pretty heavy. Especially because the worst part about it was that I was actually unhealthy and I was young. I was so young. So basically lost weight again in a really unhealthy way. I wanted to do it rapidly, fell to all these fads and trends, and I thought carbs were bad and I thought you couldn't eat after 6. And I started documenting my, recovery from that on social media because I didn't want other people to fall into the same trap of losing weight in such an unhealthy way. So I made a private Instagram account, which back in the day was called Fitness Life Lauren. And it was me sharing just my journey, my recipes, some of my workouts. They didn't have video on Instagram back then. So I was basically just showing photos. And I never put my face in any of them because I didn't want anyone to find me. And so then eventually I got around 4,000 followers. And at this point, I think I did start sharing a few photos where my face was in it a bit, but not fully. It was really far away, and realistically it would have been very unlikely that anyone would be able to tell that it was me. But I think the reason why what happened was people then found the account and started literally mocking me. And I think the reason why they knew that it was me is because they recognized the gym and all that stuff that was in the photos. So the boys in my year again then posted a photo to their Instagram, which was essentially them with their tops off, being like, oh, thanks Lauren Fitness, because I changed my username by this time to Lauren Fitness. It was thanks Lauren Fitness for my 90-day meal plan, blah, 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 all this stuff. But I didn't let it stop me. I did not let their criticism stop me from doing it, even though I was so close to stopping. But I just knew I had a message to share with the world, and I thought that it was cool, the community that I was building on social media, and I was able to meet other people, and I was starting to get invited to events by brands, just local things in London, who would invite bloggers and stuff. And they were recognizing me and realizing that by this point I maybe had, like I said, 4,000, 5,000 followers, but that back then that was a lot. So yeah, I kept at it, and that was a really, really long way of me explaining a little bit about how I got into what I do.
Yeah. So these boys kind of did you a huge favor in a way, didn't they? Longer
Yeah,
term.
massively. Exactly. And I think that's a huge thing, because so many people, when they get criticized by other people, or when other people around them don't get what they're doing, they
Yeah.
stop and they don't continue at it. But I just want to flip that on its head, and I want to use it as fuel to make me want to work even harder, just
Yeah.
to prove them wrong.
Yeah, I guess you. So what's your main priority in life nowadays, would you say?
Oh, that's a big question.
Oh,
Priority
yeah.
in life. So I think for me, I mean, to answer it simply and to just say what I'm actually working on right now
Yeah.
is I help other people build their personal brand online.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my main focus, but my main priority in life is like fulfillment. I think feeling fulfilled in everything that you do is absolutely fundamental in order to be happy and in order to keep growing, because I feel like sometimes I will like, for example, I made a YouTube video where it was kind of, I think you might have seen this, where I posted being like, I earned 20K while I was on holiday, and like it's really easy for someone who's 21 to get complacent at something like that, because that's, for my age, like a huge amount of money. And so it's very easy for me to be like, okay, so I've done that, what next, like. And so for me, it's like I need to make sure that I feel fulfilled in the moment, because I'm always looking for what to do next, because it's so easy to never really, I suppose, rinse something fully before jumping onto the next thing. And that's something that I'm really trying to work on at the moment, to actually continue to feel fulfilled with everything that I'm doing, and actually focusing a bit more on my personal life and my health mentally, and in particular, while I go on this journey of building an online business.
Yeah. So happiness is something that doesn't always get mentioned when people talk of success. And I think it's probably number one. Most people, even, if you've got loads of money or lots of social media following, etc., you've got to be happy, haven't you? Otherwise, there's no point in doing it all.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to be the richest man in the grave. And I think that that's something that is I always thought that I was motivated by money. Like I really did. So I basically, when I was in school, I always had a vision of becoming the CEO of a FTSE 100 company. Like I'm sure as hell I could have made it happen. Yeah.
Well, you still can. You're only 21, so.
No, I don't want it now. I really don't. But it was my absolute goal in life. And then I ended up going to work at an asset management firm, which was in a FTSE 250, Jupiter Asset Management. And I was so unhappy. And I realized at that time that for me, it is so much more important to actually chase fulfillment. For me, it really is about fulfillment. And I think from fulfillment comes happiness. So I guess for me, happiness is an interesting one. I think that short-term happiness can be achieved through materialistic things. Long-term happiness, I think, has to come from having a bigger reason why, through doing what you're doing. I think you need to know why you're doing it to then actually execute on it as well. Because you could have a huge reason why, but if you're not executing, then that's not fulfilling either. So I guess it's a balance of the two. But I was very fortunate to, at the age of 18, realize that I did not want to go down that corporate ladder that I truly believed I wanted to have done. And I guess it was through schooling, and my schools that I've always went to, they were very, very pushy on going to university, climbing the corporate ladder and all that. So I guess what I'm doing now is very different, but it's very fulfilling to me, and that's what matters.
Funnily enough, I heard you say something on another podcast a while back, and it was the polar opposite of myself. I know I'm going back a long while ago when I was at school compared to yourself, but I think you said there was only 2 people in your year that didn't go to university.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, we had 1 person only go to university out of a whole year. I think it was around about 180 children and nine classes, something along those lines.
My school was it was a private school, so it's very pushy here, but nevertheless, even the schools around me and a lot of people that I know, even if it's not a private school, and if it was just a college or whatever, they're still going to university. It's massive now. So I actually did the #1 course in the UK for business, but I dropped out. I dropped out because I'm already doing business. So for me, I don't actually need that. I think for what I'm doing as an entrepreneur, just getting my hands dirty is going to be the most important thing, and investing the money that I'm saving from being at uni into mentors and masterminds and traveling to go to events. That's what I'm using that money for. And I'm essentially, just paying for it right now rather than having debt.
Wow. So that's a totally different way. I'm going to ask you how you turned your fitness into your career. So how did you start doing that?
Yeah, so it's crazy that this happened. I still can't believe it now. I'm so fortunate, but I truly believe you make your own luck. So I was obviously doing all of this fitness stuff, and I started getting invited to events by brands. And that was when I realized, like, okay, these brands are noticing me. This is really interesting. And then they would start sending me freebies. And I was like, okay, this is awesome. I'm getting free stuff left, right, and center. I don't have to pay for gym clothes anymore. I don't have to pay for all these like really expensive protein bars that I want. I'm getting it for free. Like, how cool is that? And then as time went on, I was like, I can make money from this.
Yeah.
So I started saying, like, look, yeah, you can send it to me for free, but if you want me to post about it, like, here are my rates. And then I started getting money to post about it, and I was like, whoa, this is awesome. So I was getting like £20 to make a post, but I was like, what, 17? That was awesome.
Yeah.
So my friends were like working in pubs and stuff, and I just got fired from my pub job because apparently I wasn't passionate enough when I was waiting the tables. So for me, it was great because it meant I could just earn a bit of cash without having to go to work, like literally just through making Instagram posts. So I basically then started doing fitness coaching. Like, I got my PT qualifications, personal training qualifications, and I started doing online fitness coaching. And this was when my mind was blown. People were paying me like £200 a month for me to do their fitness programming. And it was insane. And I was getting amazing results for people. And I realized very quickly, okay, I want to try and make my income as passive as possible because I don't have a massive passion for coaching people one-to-one because I feel like I want to be able to help more people. So that was when I was like, okay, well, I can start selling ebooks because I'd seen people who were selling ebooks, these massive it was more of a company type thing that used to do ebooks, whereas now it's quite an individual thing. So I ended up making some ebooks. I ended up selling them. I've sold a couple thousand and they're around £40 each. That's the average price. Mm-hmm. So I've made a good amount of money from that. And that was all within I'd say about a year. And then now what I do is my main focus is I actually help personal trainers build their business online. So that's a course that I sell, an online course. So it's like a more of a high ticket thing. But then so that's like one element to it because that's obviously teaching them business skills for an online business and also how to build their personal brand in the fitness industry. But then the other thing that I do now is selling a high ticket. It's a 52-week, so a year-long mastermind program, which is, it teaches you exactly from the very beginning how to build and monetize a personal brand, taking them step by step along the way.
On social media? Is that the basics of what you're trying to teach them? In other words, how to do it on social media nowadays, or how is the
I'll talk about social media for sure. Like, that's a huge part of it, but it's not only that, it's about even finding your niche. A lot of people don't even know what their niche is. Then as well as that, we'll teach them how to build their message and their storytelling and all these fundamental things that no one else really teaches. And then obviously networking with people, growing their social media following and actually doing it confidently, and also staying healthy mentally all at the same time, dealing with criticism online, also things like how to get featured on podcasts, how to get featured in the press, how to build like an online course or a membership site, and how to monetize in other ways, and so many different components, because obviously 52 weeks is a long time. So it's interesting. I suppose I first started through monetizing in the fitness industry. Now I still am through the course where I am helping personal trainers and fitness coaches build their online business and scale their online business. But that's where I'm still touching the fitness industry. But overall, it's kind of helping people build their personal brand. Like, that's my main focus right now, because I guess I'm super passionate about fitness and I will go to the gym most days per week. But I just felt like, I don't know, I just really enjoy online business and I just love it. I'm so obsessed with it. Seriously, I'm reading about it all the time, listening to podcasts on it the whole entire time. And I used to do this with fitness. So I think it's interesting how at different stages of our life, we get interested in different things. But for me, I think that this is kind of a much more of a long-term thing. And I feel like fitness is a part of my life, not my whole life, if that makes sense. So it's interesting.
So how would you suggest just a couple of tips without giving any of your secrets away that
Oh,
people
I'm happy to give
I'll
secrets, of
give us some
course.
secrets then, Lauren. Come on, we need all
Yeah.
the best stuff. So
There's no holding back here.
okay, no, we haven't. No, the thing is that we haven't got the 52-week course here, have we? So,
No,
you have to
true.
give us some in brief. So, a couple of tips how we might be able to grow our social media presence if we wanted to.
Yeah, exactly. So this already cuts it down loads because, like I said, I mean, I kind of help people with way more than just the social media presence bit. But I do think even before we start thinking about growing our following, you need to be crystal clear on your niche. I will see so often people will they'll have a social media like trying to build their following and stuff, but they don't know what they're really talking about. One day they're talking about mindset. One day they're talking about bicep curls. One day they're talking about like property investing. One day they're talking about politics. One day they're talking about how to cut your hair really nice. Like, it's confusing. So you really need to have a niche and go all in on that. Now, this is so important when you're first starting. So you may be thinking, Lauren, how can you be saying this when you help both personal trainers build their online business and you also help people build their personal brand? Like, that's not a niche. The thing is, right, when you're first starting, you really need that niche. And then as your following begins to grow, like, because you have a more diverse audience, you're then able to talk about broader topics. So, for example, now I might just do I might just do an Instagram caption where I'm talking about mindset and being happy, right? Like, that could be something. That's a very broad topic. That's not particularly neat. That's not particularly niche. However, I can get away with that because my audience is so diverse, so anyone can interpret that in their own unique way. But you're not ever going to get top of mind awareness, which is what you really want to achieve, if you're never specific. And people know me for personal branding. Like, I make it very clear through all my posts, through my podcast, through my Instagram stories, through my YouTube videos. Like, I even have it in my name on Instagram. Like, my name field doesn't say, like, my username is Lauren Tickner, but my name says personal branding and business. So then when someone thinks, oh my gosh, personal branding, like, they're going to think Lauren Tickner. And so that's my aim. My aim is to become the go-to person when it comes to personal branding. Now, teaching people how to build an online fitness business is a kind of, it comes off of that. It's like a little tangent. But the thing is, if I was first starting, like, I would go all in on the personal branding, and then I would evolve on top of that, which is, again, what you can do. It's like when a company first starts out, right? Like, they start out with their one product. For example, Coca-Cola started off with they started off with Coca-Cola, and then they were like, okay, we need to do Diet Coke. Oh, now we need to do this weird, funky, vegan green one. Like, you know? Yeah. So basically, what I'm getting at is, like, get crystal clear on your niche. You need to do that. And then every single day, here's the thing, and people are this is gonna go way over people's heads because, like, they won't listen. So listeners, listen to my words right now. Even write this down. Yes, write this down and, like, take it all in, okay? Provide consistent value to your target audience. That's it. That is literally it. When I say consistent, I mean every single day you need to post content that is going to be valuable to the audience that you're trying to target. So the audience that you're trying to target is the people that are in your niche. So for me, it's people that are trying to build and monetize their personal brand. So that means I need to post to Instagram, I need to post to YouTube, or whatever, any platform. I need to post once per day. Not on every platform do I need to post. Like, I need to at least post a piece of content once per day, you know? So it could be a podcast on Monday, an Instagram post on Tuesday, Instagram post on Wednesday. Like, that's going to help my target audience to build and monetize their personal brand. And so, yeah, I think that's the most important thing. Honestly, like, there's no point trying to focus on how to put on a roof before you even have the foundations right, you know? Yeah. So that's something that a lot of people focus on. They're like, what are all these growth hacks? Oh yeah, all this fun stuff. But you can't focus on all the growth hacks if you haven't even got the foundation to build upon. So that is absolutely fundamental and absolutely key for anyone who's trying to build their social media presence. And also, don't get caught up in the numbers, because, again, if you're trying to target a niche audience, like, there's that blog post by Kevin Kelly, which is called 1000 True Fans. Honestly, I just recommend you read that. Maybe you could leave it linked in the show notes or something. It is so good, and that will really help you. So yeah, that's that.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that, because I had a guy contact me a little while back, and this guy's he's very, very wealthy, and I think he owns 6 property companies, and I was writing some property blogs and bits and
Wow.
pieces, and I stopped
Yeah.
doing it for a while, and he contacted me and said, well, why have you stopped doing the blog? And I thought, hang on a minute, this guy's sort of forgotten more about property than I know, and yet he's contacting me and he's watching what I've been doing. And you think, that's
Yeah.
crazy, just one person out there. And that guy could make your life, he could actually pave your way to all sorts of riches. But you
Oh
don't
my
have
gosh, yeah, it's so true. Like, I
one
was thinking about
person.
it earlier. Sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
No, I was gonna say, if you think about our social media following, like, just think these are all individual people. So you may only have 100 followers, or you may only have like 50 followers, but just imagine them all as individuals in a room. And I think especially when you're first starting out, it's something you need to really get these early followers on board. So DM them, actively comment back to them. Like, this is something that I see when people start to gain a bit of a following. They start replying to everyone. I reply to every single comment still. And that's so important to me. I've got like, over 100,000 followers, and I can still make time for it. And I make time for it because I know that even just one person that I reply to, that could make their day. And that's what I want to do. I want to help people, and I want to help make them feel happy. And I am just as busy as anyone else. Like, trust me. So it's just so important to, put the time in and just realize that it will pay off in the end. And
Sure.
just give them value.
So you got 2 podcasts, Lauren.
Yes.
And I know one of them because I'm listening to it and I love it, by the way.
Awesome.
The Business Meets Fitness podcast. But
Yes.
I understand you've got a new podcast too. So could you tell us about both of the podcasts?
Yeah, so the Business Meets Fitness podcast started off to do exactly that, merge business and fitness type content and all sorts of things, mindset related and all that. And I would get on guests and I'd interview them, and they'd be people who were in the fitness industry typically.
Yeah.
And so more recently, though, I've brought on my boyfriend, and what we do now is we basically will just give tips for people who are in the fitness industry. So maybe they've got a fitness business or something along those lines. And so all the interviews are still there and they're still awesome. So anyone can go back and listen to them. But now I'm actually focusing on the interviews for my new podcast, the Millennial Lab podcast. So that's essentially where I will bring on successful people. They don't have to be millennials, because I think that even if they're not a millennial, like, you can still give tips to younger people, that you just like the advice that you'd give to millennials. But yeah, I basically bring them on the show, break down their success stories so that we can get some actionable tips and strategies for people to implement right away, because I love listening to podcasts, and I think the ones even where it's just a random conversation, like, they're still super valuable. But for example, like what we've done today now, we've given actionable tips for people to take away, and that's what I'm all about. I don't know, I'm one of these people where I like my time to be spent in the most efficient manner. So if I'm able to listen to a podcast and I'm like, this is the step 1, 2, 3, bish bash bosh, repeat it myself and I'll get the results, like, that's what I want. So that's essentially what I'm aiming for right now, and I'm aiming to just get really cool guests on. I think that's I just love it because I love podcasting. Like, right now we're connecting. We never would have stumbled across each other if neither of us had a podcast otherwise. And it's just cool. You get to talk to such a diverse range of people, and it's so fun. It's just, it's cool that I can call this work,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not really work, is it, really, when you think about it? But
but it's giving people value in a way where you're just having a conversation, and it's so powerful. It's so powerful. People are listening to this right now. They've literally put their phones in their pockets or in their bag or whatever, and they're just listening to us waffle on. And how cool is that? It's so funny.
Too true. So would you change anything from your journey? Because obviously you're doing well now, but there must have been points where you think, oh, I should never have done that, or that didn't work out. So what would you change?
This is a funny one for me because it sounds so cliche and woo-woo, but I do think everything happens for a reason. I think that things line up and they always work out in the end, even if something at the time feels rubbish. I don't know. I think maybe it's just like really just trying to actually take a bit more downtime and not work quite so much. But then if I started to do that, I think, okay, would I kind of not be as hardworking because I would just cut corners and like I'd take an evening off on a Friday and then I'd think, oh, it's okay to do the same thing on a Saturday, and you lose that discipline, if you lose the momentum. So I don't know. I don't think anything, honestly. I think everything happens for a reason. Everything Yeah, it's going to be okay in the end. I think that's it. I think just, yeah, maybe taking a bit more downtime, that's important for me.
As long as
I'm
you're sort of
really,
heading in the right direction, you're happy.
exactly. I'm super happy and I love what I do. And maybe I suppose if I was to do one thing differently, it would have never been afraid to post my true interest in business on social media, because I never did, because I was known as the fitness girl. Like, I
Yes.
was so known for doing fitness,
I've
and I
heard
never
this
spoke
before,
about my
Lauren.
interest. Yeah, I never spoke about my interest in business. And I think it was because I was so young and I hadn't built a business already. So I thought, why will people listen to me? So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, because even when I was first starting, when I was like 60, even when I was so young, I've always been interested in business, because my dad's been self-employed his whole life, pretty much since he was like 20 something. And so it's always been something that's interested me so much. So I wish I had never been afraid to show my true self. But at the same time, I think that the pivot has gone nicely, and it's interesting because people have grown with me, and I have a ton of followers who say, I started following you for your fitness content, but now I really want to start building my personal brand thanks to you, and I never would have done it otherwise. And for me, that's amazing. That's so cool, and it's really inspiring.
Yeah, sure. So the thing is, Lauren, that you've obviously got goals for the future now. So things have moved on. So what are you going to do in the future?
Yeah, so at the moment I'm focusing on this launch. It's happening in, oh gosh, 6 days now for the mastermind program, the personal branding one that I was talking about.
Yeah.
So 19th of July, yeah, but then obviously I'm going to be rolling that out, probably launching it 4 times every year, so every quarter. So that's really the main focus right now. And then I'm going to build a membership site for Millennial Air. So there's going to be a topic about entrepreneur, like there's so many different topics that haven't finalized it all at the moment, but it's going to have elements of like entrepreneurship, also kind of finance, also health, mental, physical, and yeah, what else? I mean, traveling. I'm going to be going to America for a couple months, and just continuing on just to grow. I think just both in myself, in my business, just connecting with other people, making sure that I'm actually having a bit more fun. And I really am focusing now on also improving my YouTube quality content, because I'm really bad at neglecting it.
You're not a YouTube biggie at the minute, then?
I have 30,000 subscribers,
Wow.
and my audience is pretty engaged on there. But I've been focusing so much of my efforts on the podcast that I've been letting my YouTube content slip. So I haven't been uploading as frequently. So I'm only uploading like twice a week at the moment. But I want to start doing 3, 4, 5 every week, because that's the way for people to really build your audience, because people get so invested in you.
Well, 30,000 seems quite reasonable to me, Lauren. If you've not worked at it, then that's great. But do you know how many downloads you've had on YouTube?
So you can see on overall I've had over 3 million.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's quite crazy actually when I think about it that way. But yeah, it's interesting. I love YouTube, I really do. But podcasting I just love it even more.
Okay. So giving a few tips out to some people who might be listening. So if they want to start a journey of change, whether it be business or fitness, what might you advise first thing?
Yeah, it's just knowing crystal clear about what you want, because when you know what you want, then you can break down that outcome into process goals. So I'm a massive believer in process goals. I think saying one day like, oh, I want to be the CEO of whatever company, like you need to actually have goals that you can do every single day in order to get there. So okay, could we complete this project, do this project, send this email, all these different small things to break down a big goal. And just, knowing what you want, because when you know what you want, then as I said, you can reverse engineer it. But also at the same time, just don't care what other people think about you, because people are going to judge you, they're going to mock you, they're going to laugh at you. I've had this done to me so many times in the past, like I mentioned earlier. And if I let them stop me, then I would not be where I am today. So I think that is the two most important things.
Well, one of the things we talk about on the podcast, and I have a little sections like the hearts and minds section, and I ask the people that I'm interviewing if they've ever helped anybody that changed their life. So have you ever done anything along those lines, Lauren?
Oh, I mean, I'm really,
Put you on the spot now.
Think about this. So I guess for me, like, there's a lot of small things, but I think I think the biggest thing is like the person who's, I suppose, molded my life the most is my brother, because he's disabled. So that's been a massive driving force for me my entire time and my entire life. And so he's epileptic, he has autism and various other disabilities. Like, he's in a wheelchair, he can't walk or eat or anything, so he's got a tube and all this stuff. And so at the moment, I guess why I do what I do and what drives me forward every day is because I really my biggest goal in life, I suppose, is to actually start a charity for epilepsy. So yeah, I guess, like,
really
obviously
change people's lives, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So right now, like, I just try to be really grateful for everything everyone does for me, like small things. So for example, if they invite me on their podcast, I'll share it on my social media, like some small things like that. But yeah, I guess, like, that's my biggest thing, and that's, I guess, what keeps me driving forward more so than anything. There are a lot of other reasons as well, of course, and like making a positive impact in the world and all this stuff. But yeah, for me, that's the big thing, and I just think gratitude is absolutely fundamental. It really, really is, for you to feel at ease with yourself as well, because I think sometimes a lot of people suffer with imposter syndrome. I really don't. And I think that's because I am just really grateful for all the things that have happened. So
I'm kind of the opposite way. I kind of sort of do things, and then, you know, you can create whatever you want to be. So if you want to be a certain thing, do it over and over. And if you're any good at it, then you'll be it. If you're not, you won't. And that's
exactly. So true. Yes. No, I love that. It's so powerful.
Get on and do it, basically.
Honestly, that's the story of my life. People are always like, how do I do this? And then I'm just like, have you taken any action? They're like, no. And I'm like, well, if you think about it, like, you can't manifest it without taking action. So yeah, so powerful.
Well, thanks for that insight, and thanks for telling us about your brother as well, because obviously a lot of people don't always like to talk about personal stuff, and that's a real good driving thing for you, isn't it? If you can help people in life like that, that would be brilliant. So.
Yes, exactly. No, it's going to happen.
So this one you might not know, but I also ask whether there's any offers for the Transform Your Wealth and Health listeners. So if you've got anything like your program, for example, coming up, is there any discounts or any promotions on at the moment for that?
Okay, so we don't actually do any promotions, but I'm sure we can discuss this after. I can speak to my business partner, try figure something out for your audience, because that'd be really cool. Yeah, if there's a lot of people listening who want to build their personal brand, maybe if they were to just drop me a message on Instagram at Lauren Tickner saying that they came from this podcast, we could definitely figure something out. So
thank you, Lauren. That'd be great. So yeah, just getting towards the end of the show, Lauren, I was going to ask you, what's the best way to contact you? So obviously that's one way. What social media are you on? Everything.
Yeah, so I'm pretty much everywhere. So I'll be on Instagram at Lauren Tickner. My YouTube is just my name again, Lauren Tickner. Podcast, so we have the Business Meets Fitness podcast, and then the Millennial Air podcast. I have Twitter as well. I don't really use that though, so just ignore that.
It's funny how we've all got one that we're not really keen on, isn't there? You know, something just doesn't hit you on that one thing, and you think,
what's yours?
Instagram. I'm on it, but you know, I really don't do it. I should, I suppose, but you know, I mean, some of the others I'm not even on at all, so I suppose I'm one up on that. But you know, I try to stick to Facebook a little bit, and I suppose it's my age. You know, it's an age thing, isn't it? I don't suppose any youngsters really would be seen dead on Facebook, particularly. You know, they're not crazy about it, at least. You know,
I use it, but like only for Facebook groups.
Okay, fair enough. Lauren, you've been a fantastic guest. Thanks for coming on the show. Been great to have you on, and I wish you every success with all your future projects.
No, thank you so much. We'll definitely stay in touch, and thank you, for having me on. Thanks for the listeners for listening, and it's been great.
Been a pleasure. Thanks, Lauren.
Awesome. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed that episode, and until next time, start transforming your wealth and health now.